Welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty heavy. It sits right where technology, power, and centuries of history all collide.
That's right.
We're looking at this really provocative angle on artificial intelligence, drawing from Storm Jeter's work, The Algorithm of Fear, Why They Won't Let Us Have AI.
Yeah, and this deep dive, it isn't just about the tech, the nuts and bolts of AI.
Right.
It's more about these deep-seated fears. Who gets to build AI?
Mhm.
Who actually gets to use it? And maybe most importantly, why?
Okay.
So our job today is really to unpack Jeter's argument that there's this sort of quiet war going on, an algorithmic one designed, the book claims, to keep Black communities away from the AI controls.
Okay, let's unpack that because, well, the core idea here is pretty stark. AI is presented as this force that can literally alter civilization.
Huge implications.
And Jeter argues basically whoever controls it gets to write the future, right? While anyone denied access is kind of chained to the past.
Right.
So it's framed not just as a tech issue, but like a continuation of something older, an old plan.
Exactly.
We need to dig into why, as the book says, the powerful might be afraid of Black minds fully armed with technology. So Storm Jeter's point is that the most dangerous thing in America, historically, it hasn't been a weapon.
Right.
It's been an idea, specifically an idea from a group of people who just refuse to disappear.
Yeah.
And the book argues that the reason AI access is, restricted or biased or just economically out of reach, especially for Black communities, it's because the people in power are scared. And here's the really interesting twist Jeter brings in. They're not scared of crime, apparently, or chaos, but of something called correction.
Yeah, that word correction is it's doing a lot of work there. It's fascinating.
What does Jeter mean by it exactly?
Well, it means this fear, this
Yeah.
deep anxiety that Black people will use AI to ask the very questions that those in power have maybe avoided answering. Like, imagine using AI, as Jeter suggests, to actually calculate injustice or model reparations
Wow.
or expose who really profited from things like slavery or the prison system or certain wars, or even just simulate a world where Black communities are no longer dependent on existing structures.
So it's less about revenge and more about what? Scrutiny.
Exactly. It's framed not as vengeance, but as a call for vigilance, for access, equity, excellence, seeking the runtime, as Jeter puts it, to write the future. It really shifts the focus, doesn't it?
does.
This fear, this idea of Black intelligence being amplified by AI,
Okay.
it isn't new. The book argues it's got roots going way back, centuries back.
Okay.
From the moment enslaved Africans arrived, the whole structure of white supremacy, Jeter says, was built on a fear of payback, of retribution.
Right.
And that required constant surveillance and control systems. It's always been about, keeping certain people from rising and, crucially, from remembering.
And you can see that fear in action throughout history, can't you?
Absolutely.
Like, think about Nat Turner's rebellion back in 1831. What happened immediately after?
Harsher slave codes, curfews, churches being monitored.
And making it illegal to teach Black people to read.
Exactly. And the fear wasn't literacy itself, was it? It was what literacy leads to: memory, planning, and eventually justice.
And then you jump forward to the 1960s.
Same pattern.
The FBI wiretapped Martin Luther King Jr. Why? Not because he had a gun,
Well,
because he was, quote, dangerous with words, dangerous with dreams.
And think about the Black Panther Party, often framed as extremists.
Yeah, for things like feeding children, advocating self-defense.
Right. So often, national security was just code, according to the source, for a threat to white dominance.
So Jeter's argument is that this same playbook is now being applied to AI.
Pretty much. The fear is that this tool, a tool that can remember everything, potentially simulate every lie, and importantly, doesn't forget like people do, that tool might be used by these communities to expose what's been hidden or denied. And this fear, this strategic fear, Jeter calls it, it shows up in concrete ways.
Like what?
Like algorithmic bias that labels Black faces as criminals more often, or, coding classes being underfunded, or just plain absent in majority Black schools.
Yeah.
Or the fact that less than 2% of venture capital funding goes to Black tech founders. Or how national AI programs tend to favor predominantly white institutions.
Right.
The algorithm, in this view, is silently whispering, if they ever get these tools, they might actually make us answer for what we've done.
So it's not about whether Black people can use AI, it's about the fear of them using it
To do right, as Jeter puts it. It's a legacy of fear.
The book also talks a lot about surveillance, how the black body has always been, watched, measured, controlled.
Yeah, Jeter makes a really strong claim here. That the modern American surveillance state, it didn't just pop up after 9/11.
Where does it start then, according to Jeter?
It started, the argument goes, in the cotton fields with really quite sophisticated tracking systems, slave patrols, that kind of thing. And that just evolved right through Jim Crow, through COINTELPRO, their FBI program targeting civil rights groups.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
And now fast forward to today. We've got facial recognition, predictive policing, AI surveillance drones. Jeter says it's put the old plantation model on steroids.
Wow. That's a powerful image.
It is. And the really crucial difference now with AI surveillance is this pretense of neutrality.
Because it's technology, it seems objective.
Exactly. But the truth, the source points out, is often bias in, bias out.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, studies show facial recognition systems are way more likely, sometimes up to 100 times more likely, to misidentify black faces.
100 times. That's huge.
Staggering. And predictive policing tools, they analyze past crime data, right? But if that data is already biased...
then the predictions will be biased too.
Right. It becomes digital redlining, sending more police into black neighborhoods just because the algorithm says so, which then leads to more arrests, which confirms the algorithm's bias.
It's a feedback loop. A self-fulfilling prophecy.
Precisely. And we see it in hiring, too. AI systems trained on past hiring data, which might reflect old biases, end up rejecting resumes with black-sounding names.
So the argument isn't that these systems are broken.
No. Jeter says they're working exactly as they were taught to. It's this kind of pre-crime mentality where black bodies get scanned and interpreted by machines. Not for what they've done, but for what they fear we might do.
And that leads right into the next big concern raised in the book, doesn't it? Beyond just being watched.
Yes, there's this systemic exclusion, but Jeter also flips it, asking this really powerful question.
What's that?
What if we built the systems? What if AI was actually taught to recognize injustice, not just crime?
So the real fear isn't just being watched.
It's moving from being the watched to being the watchers.
Right.
From being just the data to becoming the designers. That's the shift Jeter points to.
Okay, so beyond surveillance, there's this other concept, digital redlining.
Yeah, another form of segregation, basically.
But instead of physical walls?
They build networks. Or rather, they don't build networks in certain places. Instead of burning books, Jeter says, they burn opportunity.
How?
Through denying access, through educational starvation, essentially. Just like old school redlining blocked access to good loans in schools.
Right.
Now, Jeter argues those lines have gone digital. They're literally written in code.
And this isn't just a metaphor.
No, it's measurable. You've got millions of black and brown students who still deal with slow internet or just outdated computers. Makes learning coding, learning AI, pretty tough.
Yeah, the digital divide is real.
And black students are apparently half as likely to have access to AP computer science courses. We mentioned the VC funding earlier, less than 2% for black tech founders.
So being shut out of AI, it's like being shut out of the whole future economy.
That's the argument. AI is reshaping everything, right?
Yeah.
Healthcare, law, policing, banking, education. If you're not involved in building it, you're likely to be negatively affected by it.
But people will say, oh, but AI is open. The code's on GitHub. Anyone can learn.
Sure, technically. But the book pushes back on that. Who gets the actual mentorship? Who gets the big grants? Who lands the internships at the key places like OpenAI or Google?
Right. Who gets taken seriously when they pitch a new idea?
Exactly. Talent isn't the issue, Jeter stresses. It's opportunity. The source gives examples. Like, a black tech worker creates a tool to audit racist policing data, but it gets shot down as too political. Or a black woman gets flagged by a hiring algorithm because her name isn't, quote, culturally neutral. It's what Jeter calls algorithmic gatekeeping.
So the system itself has these built-in barriers.
That's the claim. And this is crucial. The book also highlights that black communities aren't just waiting around for permission.
Okay.
Groups like Black in AI, Data for Black Lives, Afrofuturist Coders, they're already out there. They're building, coding, creating AI that, sees us, serves us, and remembers.
Yeah, they're actively pushing back.
Yeah, tearing down invisible walls, as Jeter puts it, one line of code at a time.
This really reframes AI, doesn't it? Not just another gadget, but what does Jeter call it? The meta tool.
Yeah, the meta tool, the tool that makes other tools, shapes institutions, decides who gets hired, housed, heard, all of it.
And that's why, according to this perspective, there's fear. Because for the first time, maybe, the data protecting powerful institutions, it can be decoded.
Right. Decoded, maybe even weaponized in a sense, used to tell the truth.
And here's where Jeter gets really provocative. What if Black communities actually ask the machine to tell that truth for them?
The book lays out these speculative futures, things Jeter suggests keep them up at night.
Like what kind of futures?
Well, imagine a black coder building an AI model trained purely on historical police brutality data, and it starts predicting racial profiling incidents with, say, 93% accuracy.
Cities would panic. Lawsuits.
Exactly. Or picture a Haitian-American software engineer creating a deep learning archive, something that visualizes wealth stolen over 400 years and calculates reparations totals that are just astronomical and undeniable.
Wow. That's potentially game-changing.
Or even an AI-trained voice, maybe built from recordings of ancestral speeches, that narrates American history from a black perspective, flawlessly citing facts, documents, changing millions of minds.
So the book is really clear here. The threat isn't chaos.
It's clarity.
The fear isn't that Black people with AI will burn everything down.
It's that they'll build something better.
A system where equity isn't just a buzzword, it's a statistic, where accountability is built in.
And where justice doesn't need, their approval. Jeter calls it Sky Truth, not Skynet.
Sky truth, meaning AI revealing truth, not AI taking over.
Precisely. It's about writing algorithms of healing, training systems on ancestral wisdom, asking those big questions like, what does a fair economy actually look like? Or what if AI were trained on our values, on Ubuntu, on resistance, on repair?
That's a fundamentally different vision for AI.
It really is. And the book argues the resistance to this vision, this resistance to Black access.
Yeah.
It's often quiet, institutional.
How so? Not like overt bans.
Less overt bans, more contractual. Hiding behind acronyms, complex legal frameworks, constant talk about safety concerns. Jeter calls it a war on access, a war on data, a war on who gets to imagine the future.
And the government plays a role.
A huge one, according to the source. Agencies like DARPA, that's the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, NSA, FBI, ICE, they invest billions in AI, mostly for defense and surveillance.
Okay.
And Jeter's critique is harsh here, that Black and brown bodies effectively become the lab rats for testing this technology.
And corporations, where do they fit in?
They launder suppression is the phrase Jeter uses.
Launder suppression?
Meaning they build the tech, they sell the data, they run the experiments, and then the government buys it all up under the nice clean banner of innovation.
So the Black community gets caught in the middle.
Becoming both the product and the problem, as the book puts it. Their data gets harvested, their voices monitored, their neighborhoods policed by tools they never agree to.
What about all the talk around AI ethics? Doesn't that help?
Jeter's skeptical, often frames it as diversity theater or even controlled opposition.
Meaning?
Meaning funding ethics watchdogs, but maybe not giving them real teeth, hiring outspoken critics into positions where they might be muzzled, issuing apologies but not fundamentally changing policies. The argument is they silence truly bold voices. People like Dr. Timnit Gebru or Joy Buolamwini are mentioned because real ethical AI, from Jeter's perspective, would mean things like exposing systemic theft or refusing government contracts that harm communities or actually giving real power to those historically shut out.
So these quiet policies, they have loud results.
Absolutely. Grant applications getting lost, tech boot camps losing funding, procurement rules that just happen to favor elite, mostly white institutions, visa denials for AI scholars from Africa, school curriculums that give kids iPads but never teach them what an algorithm actually is.
Wow, it's systemic.
And it's not just in the U.S. Jeter points to global patterns that mirror old colonial dynamics. Like in Brazil, where youth in favelas using AI to track police brutality get flagged as national security threats. Or India, where AI built without considering caste ends up reproducing discrimination. Africa being treated more like a data mine than a partner in development. Or the UK, France, Australia, using AI to profile migrants, surveil immigrant neighborhoods, monitor indigenous communities. The underlying message, Jeter argues, is always the same. Stay where you've been kept.
But the book isn't just doom and gloom, right? There's resistance.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge part of it. A powerful counter-narrative. And it's not some far-off future thing. It's happening right now in basements, in community boot camps, coffee shops.
And what's really compelling is this idea Jeter puts forward. The revolution isn't just being, live streamed anymore.
It's being programmed.
Okay, what does that look like? Programming a revolution.
Well, historically, resistance was boycotts, marches, right?
Sure.
Today, due to the highlights, it also looks like a machine learning model designed to automatically flag racist policies hidden deep in city budgets. Or a chatbot that teaches young black kids their constitutional rights if they get pulled over in a traffic stop.
It's practical.
Or using blockchain that's secure, decentralized ledger tech to transparently track potential reparations claims. These are framed as digital weapons, but weapons of truth, transparency, transformation. And they scale.
And there are real people doing this.
Yes. The source mentions leaders like Joy Buolamwini, who founded the Algorithmic Justice League. She famously exposed bias in facial recognition tech.
I've heard of her work.
And groups like the Black Tech Collective, apparently creating open-source AI specifically for restorative justice. Or Data for Black Lives, which reframes data itself as a core civil rights issue.
Okay.
There's even an example of a 19-year-old coder nicknamed Cypher, who's training an AI on oral history recordings from black elders, literally preserving their voice, their spirit in the machine.
So these aren't hackers trying to break things?
No, Jeter says there are healers writing code that corrects. It's about infusing AI with soul, rhythms, logic, legacy, and redemption.
Liberation code.
Yeah. It's not just about making things faster, more efficient. It's about equity, about healing, about centering humanity, protecting people instead of exploiting them.
It sounds like a fundamental shift.
From consumer to creator, that's the core of it. Jeter argues the system expected black communities just to consume the tech.
Right. Buy the phones, use the apps.
But they didn't expect people to turn those platforms into protest grounds, or use the tools to expose the system's own contradictions, or, crucially, to start training the machines on their truth.
And now
Jeter says they are becoming architects of the update, creating what the book calls algorithmic maroons, these digital spaces of freedom and resistance.
that term, algorithmic maroons, is powerful, like the escaped slave communities, but digital.
Exactly. It evokes that history of creating liberated zones outside the dominant system.
Okay, but this raises a huge ethical question, doesn't it? Which the source tackles head on.
It does. Can you ethically deny an entire group access to arguably the most powerful technology ever created simply because you're afraid of what they might do with it?
And this isn't a new fear, as the book points out.
Not at all. It echoes the past justifications for denying black communities literacy, the right to vote, land ownership, even firearms. They can't be trusted. Now, the argument goes, it's AI.
But Jeter flips that, right? Pointing out who actually built the most dangerous weapons we already have.
Precisely. Nuclear bombs, military drones, massive disinformation campaigns. Those weren't built by the communities now being told AI needs strict guardrails, primarily aimed at them.
So the whole AI safety discussion, Jeter sees it as potentially something else.
As potentially a euphemism for maintaining control, selectively labeling who counts as a bad actor.
Can you give an example?
Well, a government-trained AI predicting economic collapse, that's innovation. But a community-built AI calculating reparations based on historical data, suddenly that's extremism.
That exposes a double standard.
It exposes what the book sees as the hypocrisy. You don't fear the tool, you fear the people who never had it before. So out of this critique, a different kind of ethics is proposed. One rooted in liberation over limitation,
Okay.
in repair over restraint, in power with, not power over.
And it asks different questions.
Right,
Yeah.
like, who really benefits from this AI system? Who gets to decide how it's used? And whose voice gets silenced when we talk about caution?
So how does the book wrap this up? Does it offer a way forward?
It does. It ends by laying out what Jeter calls a black print for tomorrow. It's based on 5 core principles, framed as codes of liberation.
Okay, what are they?
First, access without permission. The idea that knowledge, AI tools, data, it should flow freely like water. Open source, not locked behind gates.
Makes sense.
Second, memory without erasure. Algorithms need to be trained on the full truth of history, not just the sanitized, comfortable versions.
Crucial. Third,
Power without oppression. Systems have to be transparent, accountable, and designed to share power, not concentrate it further.
okay.
Healing without shame. Using technology not just for profit or efficiency, but as part of a process, almost a ritual, of remembering what happened and actively repairing the harm. Driven by care, not just code.
And the last one.
Future without fear. This is about embracing an unapologetically imaginative, bold vision for the future. one that's free from the same fear that shaped past policies and built prisons.
Those are powerful codes. Could you maybe unpack that first one a bit more? Access without permission. What does that look like in practice for AI?
Yeah, absolutely. Access without permission is really about democratizing AI at its core.
Okay.
That means the fundamental building blocks, the data sets used for training, the actual AI models, even the computing power needed to run them shouldn't be exclusively locked up by big corporations or governments.
So less gatekeeping.
Exactly. It envisions things like community-driven open source projects where people can build their own AI tools, tailor them specifically to their community's needs, and then share them freely without needing a stamp of approval from the usual power brokers.
It's a shift from just using tech
to actively creating it, owning it, shaping it. That's the essence of it.
So putting it all together, we're talking about the potential for building AI that, speaks in our own diverse voices. Education tools that teach suppressed histories, systems that genuinely protect children or track stolen wealth or archive the wisdom of elders.
That's the vision Jeter lays out. And the perspective is, you can't really stop this. It's not just code. It lives in people's minds, in their hands, in the connections they're making.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for someone listening, trying to connect these dots? It feels like we're at a really pivotal moment.
It definitely feels that way. Technology offers this incredible power, right, to innovate, to influence. But the source offers a crucial caution here. Tech alone isn't the answer.
What is, then?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah.
Jeter points out how, historically, Black brilliance and creativity, whether in music, agriculture, whatever, often ended up being monetized by others who better understood contracts, power structures, ownership. There's an example mentioned like Burkina Faso's President Ibrahim Traoré, emphasizing that real self-determination needs vision and courage, not just resources. So the call is, learn to own what we create with AI. By forming cooperatives, building legal teams, really consciously protecting intellectual property, community data, digital identities. Don't just build the tech, build the structures around it.
So this book, The Algorithm of Fear, it's more than just a warning.
Oh, yeah. It's presented as a blueprint, maybe even a declaration. It's definitely a call to action.
Sure.
For anyone who's ever felt shut out, underestimated, the message is start building. Don't wait for someone to invite you to the table. In Jeter's words, you are the portal.
You are the portal. I like that.
Yeah. So to organizers, the call is use AI to forecast justice, model equity. To educators, use AI to teach freedom, uncover hidden histories. To young people, you're not just users, you're the beginning. And to the elders, your wisdom, your stories, that's the invaluable data set we need.
And finally, there's a direct message to the powers that be, isn't there? A pretty bold one.
A very bold one. Jeter essentially declares, if you are afraid of us using AI, it's already too late. We're not coming to destroy your system. We're coming to render it obsolete.
Render it obsolete. That leaves us with a lot to think about. The question hanging in the air is, what will you build now that you've glimpsed this potential future being written?
They wrote the code behind closed doors, locked it tight with a chain of laws. History echoes, we've seen it before. A gate to keep, a line to draw. Invisible walls, they say it's fair, but we know the truth hiding there. Algorithm of fear, designed to deny. They hide the keys while we ask why. Every line of code, every silent tear, we see through the algorithm of fear. Cotton fields turned into data mines. Still the same game, just different times. They say it's progress, but it's a disguise. A future stolen, hidden in lies. Chains of the past, now digitized. We won't be